Last night, we saw the 29th death in the ongoing George Floyd riots. A man in downtown Austin approached a vehicle with a rifle and was shot and killed. The vehicle had apparently encountered a protest group. They began surrounding the car. He walked up, several shots fired, and he died. This is actually there were 3 shooting incidents yesterday. One in Aurora, Colorado. I believe no one got hurt. And another in Louisville, where a member of the NFAC militia accidentally shot some people. So that one doesn't count necessarily as a shooting because that was just someone who didn't know what they were doing with a weapon. But it does count for, I guess, legal purposes. But in Aurora, it was apparently intent. And in downtown Austin, it was absolute intent. This man is now dead. There is a video going around of this man saying that those who oppose us are too much of, I can't say this word on YouTube, to actually do anything about it. Basically, denigrating anybody who would stand against them. And that's why he brought out his rifle. The man literally says, and I have the video, he's like, oh, if I try to go up against police, I'll probably die. But the people who oppose us, they're too much of, P word to actually do anything about it. Yeah, I know. It's YouTube. They'll get mad at me. So I want to read you this story, but here's what we really need to talk about right now. I want to give you the news. What we're dealing with is a generation of snowplow children. Let me explain what this means. When parents snowplow all obstacles out from in front of their children, what happens? They don't understand responsibility or accountability. I've got photos and I got a video of what absolutely looks like a toddler screaming at the top of their lungs because they want more ice cream. That's how I see it. There's a video of a woman, and I don't know what season she's in necessarily. I think we'll pull it up. But she's screaming at the cops. They're saying, get back. And she goes, or effing what? And then they grab her and she starts shrieking like a banshee as they're arresting her. There's also a video of a man in Portland who's getting arrested and shrieks, a man shrieking like a toddler. And then I remember, I thought about this. You know what this reminds me of? Were you ever in like an ice cream shop and there's a little kid who wants an extra scoop of ice cream, and the parent is like, we're getting you 1 scoop, and the parent starts, and the kid starts screaming as loud as possible, and the parent goes, okay, honey, please stop screaming, and I'll give you more ice cream. This is what we're dealing with. People who have who take no responsibility, understand no accountability, and you can see it in their eyes. I'm going to show you a photo of a person who's finally realizing what it means to be held accountable in a functioning society. But first, let's read about this, what happened in Austin. We'll go through all of this. They report. This is from Statesman News. A man was killed in downtown Austin Saturday night in the midst of a protest against police violence, and police said they have taken the shooter into custody. Now, I don't know about the full details of what they were doing in Austin, but I believe it's fair to say this was a protest. They were marching through the street. As far as I can tell from the initial videos, they weren't destroying stuff. However, there is a fine line between determining what a protest and a riot is. Some people might have a very, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but if somebody, throws a garbage can, does that immediately make the protest a riot, or did one person just throw a garbage can? What if 10 people throw garbage cans? Is it a riot now? If you break a window, I think it's fair to say riot, but what if one person throws a rock and they kick him out? So it's hard to know for sure. But in the video we see, it's a group marching. I don't see them breaking or destroying anything at the immediate moment. Then they walk up to a vehicle. The dude gets shot. Let's read this and I'll explain. I'll explain to you why this happened and what you can expect if this kind of behavior continues. The shooting happened at about 9:50 p.m. at 4th Street in Congress, EMS officials said. Austin police said the male victim was carrying a weapon when he approached a vehicle. The person in the vehicle then shot the man. Is anyone surprised by that? Following what happened in Provo. In Provo, Utah, one of the Black Lives Matter, I don't know, whatever you want to call them, extremists, ran up to an SUV, fired into the car, shooting the driver, literally shooting the driver. I don't know where on their body they were hit. They drove themselves immediately to the hospital. They fired at the vehicle as it was driving away. The person then hid the gun and kept going. So when you hear stories like that, you think you're gonna wait around for a group to surround you, and then a dude walks up with a rifle. You're gonna be like, nope. And that's exactly what happened. According to witnesses, the incident began when the driver on 4th Street honked, turned right, and then sped down Congress, driving through the crowd. He appeared to hit an orange barrier in the road and came to a stop. Quote, there were people around the car, yelling and people sounding like they were frightened. A protester with a rifle approached the car, and the driver pointed his gun outside the window. The driver fired several shots, then sped away. The man with the rifle dropped to the ground when he got shot. Yeah, he was dead. Not immediately. They rushed him to the hospital, but at some point he died. It was probably I'll just say this. The shot was on target. You know, they're like this, the driver in the SUV may have gotten hit in the arm or shoulder or something. This dude got hit in such a way that he was down and he was dead. Medics performed CPR on the victim, but he later died at Del Stettin Medical Center, officials said. Police are investigating the incident as a homicide. The suspected shooter is cooperating with officials. No other injuries were reported. Police did not release the names of victims or the suspect. According to a Facebook Live video recorded by protesters during the hour-long march, a car honking could be heard before 8 gunshots were unleashed. Several screaming protesters immediately took cover. Shortly after the shooting, a shaken protester told the Facebook Live that the man shot had been a regular at such protests and that his fiancée is in a wheelchair. So I have all this. First, I want to show you this Wikipedia page. George Floyd protests. You know, I wanted to get the accurate death count so far because it was previously 28. We now have 29 confirmed deaths. My question is, why is Wikipedia calling it the George Floyd protests? Perhaps they need to be separated. Now, this incident, I would say, based on initial assessment, just from the video alone, it looks like a protest. It's a difference. Portland are riots, okay? That's just insanity. It's fire, it's tear gas, it's people cutting down barricades, fighting with cops. Those are riots. But those are part of the George Floyd riots. If the news is dominated by rioting, if the photos are of rioting and riot police and clashes and tear gas, etc., then you can't, in my opinion, call them protests. These are riots. They even say riots, 29 now dead, 14,000 plus arrests. Wow. Property damage, 500 million. And that's only counting Minneapolis and St. Paul. Well, I bring you now to this photo. You see, many people have said the man was taking aim into the vehicle. He was pointing the gun into the vehicle. That doesn't appear to be the case, but it does look like he is holding his rifle up. You can see this for those that are just listening. I'll explain it. He appears to be holding the rifle with the muzzle pointed straight to the ground. We can't see his hand, but you can see the stock pointed up. That says to me, at least in this photo, he's not pointing it into the vehicle. Some people have said he walked up and pointed the gun at the guy, and that's why the guy shot. I don't see that. Maybe there are other photos. I searched for them. This is the one I could find. This is the one that people were claiming shows what happened. So if I missed it, all I can say right now is in other videos, the dude looks like he's carrying the rifle properly. Now we have this video. This is the same guy. You can look in the photo. There he is. He got the mask. He's got the baseball cap. Here he is. In this video, at this specific point, he says straight up that these people are too much of, P word, to actually do anything about it. And that's why he was carrying the weapon. He wanted to make a statement, I guess. Now he's legally allowed to carry that weapon. But I'll tell you this, man. If you're legally carrying a weapon and you're with a group of people who are running up and surrounding a vehicle and yelling and screaming, and there has been news over the past month of 28 people dead, do you think anyone will take a chance? When you see the story about the McCloskeys, this is what's mind-blowing to me. You know that in places like St. Louis, they will draw their weapons. And you live in Texas. Do you know what the stereotype of Texans are? Family Guy did a joke where when they moved to Texas, Brian Griffin went to buy a bottle of whiskey and the guy handed him a revolver. And Brian's like, "What's this?" And he goes, "State law, buy liquor, get a gun." That's the joke. People in Texas have guns. You see all these videos about people being shot and killed, ambushed, the cops being beaten. And you think you can walk up to a car brandishing, well, I shouldn't say brandishing, but wielding this while they're being surrounded, and that person won't feel threatened by you? Now, it's a bummer, man. This dude lost his life, 100%. I wish these things didn't have to happen. And it's sad. Apparently, this dude is just wanted to go out and march. He's legally allowed to march, express himself, carrying this weapon. But you got to understand the different circumstances. You got to understand the circumstance for which you are engaging. And a guy saw you with a rifle walk up to his car, and he panicked because of all the news that's been going around, and he didn't hesitate. Now, we can all talk about how this guy probably wouldn't have done anything. And I think that's a fair point. But you do not have the right to tell someone else who doesn't read and watch the news all day, every day, exactly what's happening. All that guy knew is he's heard about death after death after death. And then an angry mob surrounded his car and a guy walks up with a rifle and he's like, oh man, bang. He's gone. The dude died. It's sad, man. So we have this story from the District Herald. Now moving on to what's going on in Portland. Feds go on extreme offensive after barrier breached and officers injured in Portland. At least 6 arrested. One of the rioters was apparently tackled so hard his shoes came off. So that's that. Look, I don't need to get into the full. You understand what's happening, but I want to show you this image. You know what, man? Yeah, YouTube's not going to be happy about this one, but it's a woman being arrested. It looks like, based on the ground and what I've seen of the federal courthouse, they are on the federal courthouse property. You can see here the barricades. You can see the doors. And this cop right here, who is clearly identified by his badge number and it looks like he's Bortac CBP, badge number Z26, and he has grabbed this woman with a backpack. Many people are sharing this. And on the left, they're saying the look of sheer terror as Trump's secret police take you away. The right is saying more so that it's, for the first time, someone being held accountable for their actions. I believe that is the more fair assessment. I do. This woman is being presumably arrested. In fact, we don't even know if she was arrested. He may have just grabbed her and moved her and then let her go. You can see in her eyes, yes, that looks like fear. What I see in this is if you don't show up to a violent riot, it won't happen to you. Now, I've heard from people on the ground. What's going on is that a mostly peaceful protest shows up. Then the far left starts engaging. Most of the people disperse, but many remain. If you know that for 58 plus nights, far left extremists are lobbing commercial grade fireworks, starting fires, tearing down barricades, perhaps you should not show up. You know why? They need you to. They need you to provide the cover for them so they can get violent. If it were me, I'd say peaceably assemble, right? That's the First Amendment. But if you've got these bad apples and you won't hold them accountable, me personally, I'm out. I'm not going to show up and provide numbers for these lunatics. Don't look at me. But I see in this photo, I look, man, this person right here, this cop, that's a human being too. No one talks about the look in his eyes. He's trying to stop people from throwing commercial grade explosives and starting fires at the courthouse. They are defending a federal courthouse. You can take issue with it, fine. You can protest. You can peaceably assemble. And when they stand outside and they all chant and sing, there you go. You got your great videos. You got your great propaganda. But the moment the far left attacks, well, then you need to leave. And most people I'm hearing do. But a lot of people want to stick around. And then you see these videos where they're like, I didn't even do anything. Why are you attacking me? It's like, bro, you're standing side by side with these people throwing stuff. There's a video now of one of these officers getting hit in the head by like a brick or something and he falls down. And people are posting and laughing about it. Yeah, they're getting violent. Take a look at this clip. Here's what I tweeted. Ian Miles Chong tweeted, consequences will never be the same. We see a woman screaming at police. I wrote, this is what snowplow parenting creates. People who have never been taught responsibility and accountability. After cussing at the cops who tell her to get back, she gets arrested, then starts shrieking like a toddler who was just told they couldn't have another scoop of ice cream. I'm not exaggerating when I say this. This shriek from this woman, just at the top of her lungs, nonstop. And we hear it over and over again. It's you know what's amazing is, what will that accomplish for you? It's a serious question. You see, when I was a little kid, and I don't think I was actually ever one to have much temper tantrums, but when I did, it didn't get me anything. It got me in trouble. And I learned, hey, not only is shrieking a waste of my time and energy, but I actually am less likely to get what I want when I do it. So maybe I just had good parents who taught me that a reasonable, calm argument and strategy will get you what you want. And that's my familial privilege, having good parents who taught me well. Perhaps they didn't. I believe this is a product of snowplow parenting. It's a product of parents who refuse to discipline their children. And I'm not saying hitting your kids. I'm saying that teaching them discipline. This won't work. It can be as simple as grounding your kids. It can be as simple as saying, I am not giving you more ice cream. Shut your mouth. And then when they keep crying, then you say, you know what? Now you get no ice cream. What, no ice cream? Yeah. Now you'll never get ice cream again. Maybe that'll teach him. There's other ways to discipline. I'm sure there are people who, have their methods. I defer to the experts, I suppose. The point is, kids need to learn discipline. When they don't, you get this. What made her think that she could scream in the face of a wall of police officers who are saying, get back, and that she would be fine? Her response was, or effing what? Get back or effing what? Or you'll get arrested. Okay? You can't get in the face of a cop and start screaming because you literally can't do that to anyone. Not that a cop would arrest you for it if you did. Sometimes they would. There's a really famous viral video of Jack Posobiec, conservative reporter for OAN, personality, whatever you want to call him. And some Antifa guy punches him, and the cops run up and grab the guy, and Antifa starts lying. In my experience, when fights break out, cops are typically like, everybody go home. We don't need this. And that's actually the most mature thing. I think, to be fair, if I got hit, I'd be like, arrest them. And sometimes it is the right thing for the cop to just break it up and tell everyone to go home, like stop the conflict, not make it worse. And sometimes they need to be arrested. Now, I'll tell you what, though. You get in the face of a cop, which in many jurisdictions is literal assault. You getting in front of their face and screaming, and they're going to arrest you. But more importantly, they didn't arrest her for that. They arrested her because she wasn't clearing the area, combined with screaming in their face. And then she starts shrieking like a child, at a child, the top of her lungs. Someone needed to tell her when she was a kid to shut up. The epitome of privilege is this image and this image. All of a sudden, the ultra privileged elites are now realizing what it's like to get held accountable, to be responsible for their actions. And I don't see any reason why I should sympathize with this woman. You want to know why? If you're on the right, you'll look at this and say, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Don't show up to a riot and stick around and go on federal property when they tell you to disperse and then act scared and surprised. Oh no, I'm being arrested for breaking the law. It's been going on for 2 months. You'll have no excuse. You go to a judge. I didn't know it was happening. For 2 months in your town, this is going on. You didn't know when you were there and they gave warnings. And let me tell you something else. If I was on the left, I wouldn't care either. You know why? Oh, because white privilege. White privilege from this woman who is now being held accountable, right? Now she'll understand what it's like to face, arrest, to be held accountable for your actions, or at the very least, as they probably believe it, unjustly arrested. She's a peaceful protester. Perhaps. We don't even know if she was arrested. Maybe she was. Well, actually, we might. This photo, I'm not entirely sure. It's going viral. They may have just pulled her out and then pushed her out the other side, like, get out of here, go home. There's a video coming out of Portland where there's it's called the mom block, or the yellow block, is laying on the ground, and a Portland police officer picks her up, and she's got her hands up, and he's just like, go. Didn't even arrest her, helped her up, and then said, go. And people are like, wait, what? Yes. You might see a photo of the guy grabbing the woman on the ground, all shocked, and then he actually just picked her up and said, get out of here. And that could have been what happened. I don't know. I'd be willing to bet they got arrested. I want to show you a couple more things. All right. There was another shooting in Aurora. Jeep races through protests on I-225 in Aurora. Protester fires shots. A protester fired the shots, mind you. Okay. They say Aurora police are investigating a shooting after a vehicle drove through protesters. The protests began, blah, blah, blah. People were running after a car aggressively made its way toward protesters. I heard pops, which APD say came from a protester. The protesters shot other protesters. I watched as a woman who fell off the interstate was rushed to the hospital. So I guess I was wrong about this. Someone did get, wow. I was mistaken. I thought the story was that someone shot at the vehicle and that was it. They say while protesters were walking, a vehicle decided to drive through the crowd. A protester fired off their weapon, striking at least one other protester. I'll tell you what, man. These people need to be held accountable. Do you want to see the future that this will bring? I want you to do me a favor. Check out my Instagram, instagram.com/Timcast, and you will see this latest image I have posted. It's just a picture of a piece of paper taped to the front of a window. And the paper reads, "This is a family-owned restaurant. We've already been struggling to live. Please don't hurt us." I have seen these photos all too many times. I've seen them all over the place when I have covered civil unrest here and in other parts of the world. People know that these extremists want to hurt innocent civilians. They know that the far left wants to create a world where you're on your knees crying and begging. Well, stop getting on your knees. Stop. You know what? You want to stop them from coming and smashing up your windows? Demand of your police, demand of your mayor, and vote for people who will do what needs to be done. Maybe just literally stand there. That's it, isn't it? In Seattle, the city council stopped them from using their riot gear. And so the police were like, then we're not gonna do our thing. A federal court put a restraining order on that, I guess, and said, you can still do it if you want. We got to have a conversation about this. I posted on Instagram, the future the far left wants for you. It's a meme. I don't literally think every single far leftist is envisioning a future where you put signs in your window saying, please don't hurt us. What I'm saying is this is what they are creating. They are creating a world where you will put signs on your window saying, I beg your forgiveness. I beg you, please spare me, because no one is protecting you. So when the violent groups go around shooting people, smashing things, literally 29 people dead, then we're going to see in these cities signs saying, please don't hurt me. When instead, the sign should read, we support our police. And the police officers should be the front line, standing between the violent extremists and the innocent people who simply want to serve you a burger or maybe a salad if that's your thing. But they have a right to provide for their community, and extremists have no right to go around destroying it. But this is what you'll get. So I'll leave you now with this. Donald Trump. Donald Trump is deploying federal law enforcement. This is a family-owned restaurant. Please don't hurt us. I wonder who they're going to vote for. Do you think they're going to vote for Joe Biden? I don't. Many will. I've heard stories from friends where they say everything's bad, the vandalism was awful, the economy needs to come back, people are going broke. And I'm like, are they going to vote for Trump? No. And I'm like, what do you think Biden's going to do for you? Do you think Biden's going to, make this work? Biden's not going to solve the problem with the Black Lives Matter stuff. He supports it. Maybe not as wholeheartedly as the riots in the far left, but he's absolutely tweeted in support of the left. And the Democrats have literally got on their knees wearing kente cloths for this movement, for the George Floyd riots. They support it. And all these commercial endeavors support it too. So I'm not saying Trump is going to be the perfect answer, but I can tell you this. From where it looks right now, you have Donald Trump saying, I will deploy law enforcement to stop the crime, and I will deploy federal law enforcement to protect our property. Isn't that what you want of your store? Why won't your cities protect your store? Why won't the police stop the rioters in Seattle, where 150 people went around smashing everything? This is the future the far left may actually want for you. It's what they will bring to you, and it's what you will get if you keep living on your knees. They will not stop, and they will come for you next. So to all the people who say, I can't speak up, I won't speak up, fine. At the very least, you can share a video, you can share a link, you can say, check this out. But I'll tell you this, you need to speak up now. Otherwise, this is the future you will get. They will come to your house and knock on your door and say, hello, friend. We noticed you aren't flying the banner of our party. Why not? There's already a viral Facebook Live video where a man and a woman show up to their building. They just bought it and they're opening a business. And he starts pulling Black Lives Matter signs down. And two guys ambush him. What are you doing? Why are you doing it? And he's like, it's my building. I'm taking the signs down. Why? Why are you doing it? Are you racist? And he's like, what? They demand he put up their banners. There's a video of 3 young women cleaning graffiti off of the side of a building that says Black Lives Matter. And a woman pulls up and she goes, are you racists? Why are you taking the graffiti down? That's what will happen next. Go to Berkeley. I'm not even exaggerating. Go to Berkeley and look in the window of every business. And I asked myself when I was there, why is the Chinese immigrant masseuse putting up signs for Black Lives Matter and socialism? They certainly didn't care when I should say they seem not to. I saw that and I felt like the people I had spoken to in this community specifically told me if they don't do it, their windows will be smashed. Now, it's entirely possible many of these businesses just do support it. I mean, they live in Berkeley. They choose to live there, right? Except I went to a couple establishments and they told me outright, we have no choice. They will smash out our windows unless we do. That's the future you're going to get unless these people are stopped. And the police are standing down because the city wants them to. And worse still, in Seattle, a city councilman is joining them and leading them to the homes of politicians to force them to support their ideology. In Portland, the mayor literally joined the rioters. He didn't join in rioting. Okay, there's a difference. He wasn't throwing things, but he was standing there as they were lobbing bricks and water bottles and commercial grade fireworks. He just stood there. Then he leaves and he's the police commissioner. Half an hour later, it's a riot. Okay. You better speak up now or forever hold your peace. I'll see you all in the next segment on this channel at 1 p.m. Thanks for hanging out.